Kakashi was woken up with a start as the memories of his clone rushed in. He had to take a moment to get a gist of his surroundings, as receiving memories from clones unexpectedly was always straining. The clone he left had been beaten before nighttime and wasn't fed anything. He was glad he had put in enough chakra after getting a glimpse of Naruto's bruises. His clone had been slapped and then thrown out of the orphanage before the sun rose in the dark hours of early morning. His clone had made a show for the ambush before moving towards the village and disappearing down an alley. He was furious if that was what Naruto had to go through every time, and he briefly entertained the idea of exacting some revenge. But as he surveyed the room till his eyes settled on a sleeping Naruto cuddled up beside him, the voice of his sensei seemingly drifted into his thoughts as if it reprimanding him for even thinking that. He took a deep calming breath as he checked himself over. He was still in the hinge. It was locked in, but he just had to make sure. Kakashi wanted to get up and get ready for the day, but as he tried to shift, Naruto gripped him tighter. He could have easily slipped out but decided not to. He would let the boy rest some more. With a few hand signs, another clone appeared before him and gave him a nod before leaving the room. He stayed beside Naruto till the sun rose, as sleep never came back to him. Eyes already set on the next mission he might be sent on by Danzo, Kakashi suspected something was going to be happening soon. He had been very willing to ignore it and just follow orders, but he knew something was going to happen, not now but sometime in the future. The sun started coming up and Kakashi waited patiently, and much later the small boy beside him began to stir. Naruto for the first time had slept better than he could remember. As he rubbed the sleep from his eyes, he saw smother in the arms of someone. It wasn't the villages, and as his eyes roamed up the figure he saw the rest face of his Kasan with her eyes closed. So it wasn't a dream, he thought happily with tears stinging his eyes. Are you rested, Nari-kun? Naruto was surprised for a moment because he thought she was sleeping and didn't want to wake her. He hummed and she smiled at him as the sunlight hit the back of her head enshrouding her in light like from the stories the caretaker at the orphanage used to speak about. Then let's get you washed up and some, okay? Naruto just nodded, somehow not finding the words he wanted to say as he hid his face in his Kasan's shoulder. Kakashi lifted Naruto up, the boy hiding in his neck as he headed for the bathroom first. After a quick bath, they walked into the kitchen to find food already prepared and ready, much to Naruto's surprise, but as his stomach growled he saved his curiosity for later. They started eating, and it wasn't as they were close to finishing that his clone appeared, opening and closing the door. Kakashi didn't react as his clone had done the signal to show it was him. Naruto, whilst digging into his food, saw the clone of his Kasan arrive with some bags of stuff before it puffed out into smoke. Kakashi only let out a sigh, knowing now that the Hokage had requested his presence. He was surprised for a moment because he had made sure to clean his tracks. Maybe it wasn't about Naruto, he mused before making a few hand signs, making another clone appear. He had to take deep gulps of air after that one, as creating clones with enough chakra to last this long took its toll, which is why it wasn't recommended that the technique was used often, especially when one was still injured and suffering from chakra exhaustion. He heard the patter of small feet as they rushed to his side, and a small Naruto was shaking him cautiously. Kasan, are you okay? He asked, trying to keep the panic from his voice that Kakashi could hear. It's alright, Nari-kun. Just tired, he replied, rubbing the boy's hair as he turned to the clone, inspecting it. He really needed to rest because the amount of chakra was not sufficient. Naruto's tenseness eased for a moment. Let me go talk to someone, they called me. With those words, Kakashi felt the small hands tighten on his clothing. Are they sending you out again? But you just got back. It made Naruto mad. He could see how tired she was, how hurt she was, and they were going to send her out again. Kakashi felt the chill before his eyes quickly settled on Naruto. The Kyuubi. Naruto, it's okay. They just want to talk to me, he quickly rushed to say, awkwardly hugging the boy before settling in. It took a few moments as Kakashi slowly and calmly stroked the boy's back till the boy began to calm down. He waited as Naruto's breathing settled. Please be back soon, Kasan. Kakashi pulled away looking at the boy and brushed off some of his tears to meet his eyes with a smile. I will. And guess what? He asked, and Naruto looked confused questioningly. My clone can teach you some jutsu till I come back. That seemed to spur the boy back to life. Wow, really? Yes, really. Because this jutsu allows me to make a copy of myself and we can share memories. The confused look that Naruto gave made him laugh for a moment, and Naruto was confused about what was so funny, but seeing his mom smile made him happy. It means that's also me, Naruto. My clone will explain. Okay. Kakashi gave him a pat on the head before heading to the door. His gear was already by the door prepared by his clone, and he quickly donned it as Naruto watched on with his hand holding onto his clone. I will be back before you know it, Naruto-kun, he said before disappearing before his very eyes. Naruto stood there for a moment. He really wanted to go with her wherever she went, but as he kept staring, Kasan's clone beside him tugged his hand. Are you ready to have some practice, Naruto-kun? The somber mood quickly vanished as the boy jumped around happily. But first, let's get you to wear some new clothes. Kakashi appeared before the Hokage, already kneeled in front of the desk, much to the surprise of the Anbu guards and place that rushed to surround him. At ease, the Hokage said calmly, ever impressed and annoyed with the Anbu's antics. The Anbu guards quickly retreated to the shadows as Kakashi's eye met his. And the hench? Kakashi just shrugged and the Hokage let out a sigh. Another time, I guess. On to other matters. Hiruzen looked him over as he tried to study Kakashi's face. Another year passes, Kakashi. And I will ask you the same question I have asked before. Kakashi had somewhat expected this to come, as the Hokage had done it ever since learning of Minato's fate. Leave the Anbu and become a Jounin. The room was silent, and Hiruzen expected the same answer to the question that he had gotten every year. He knows that Kakashi never looked at him the same when he learned that he had let Orochimaru go. Orochimaru had slaughtered a whole clan and experimented on children, all in the name of the leaf, calling his eye a mere imitation, tainting Obito's gift. But he had failed, and that got to him because he felt Orochimaru had been right. Hiruzen remembered feeling the glare from the boy as they headed back to the village. Kakashi had gotten more and more in line with the root since then, even though he still worked for him. Till he found Danzo committing his own horrors. When Hiruzen didn't hold Danzo accountable, the Hokage saw the anger on Kakashi's face, and he knew the Anbu might have entertained the idea of killing the Hokage. As the twitch of his hand, a spark of lighting and piercing glare of his Sharingan locked onto the Hokage. That moment is one that haunted Kakashi. His power along with Obito had not been enough to beat the Snake Sannin, something that bothered him. He knows he was young, but he didn't see that as an excuse, and back then he didn't really care. But now he had someone to protect. He had followed Danzo hoping to one time meet his end in a way that seemed as if he didn't fight. But he needed the power to protect Naruto now. Kakashi had been pondering that for a while. He knew from previous meetings that Danzo wanted to get Naruto at some point so that he could join the root. He had no plans of letting that happen before, and certainly not now. I know I failed you, the Hokage started surprising Kakashi. I have been a weak Hokage, far less than your old sensei. But please leave while you still can. Kakashi once again stood motionless. If this was before seeing Naruto, he might have just dismissed the request as he had done in previous years, but now if he left he could be around Naruto more. But, the elephant in the room that he hated to admit was that he needed the power to be able to protect Naruto. There was no better place to train than in the Anbu. With a struggle, he never thought of before he rose up to his feet. Maybe another time. But not now. Kakashi turned around and headed to the window. He wouldn't want this for you, Hiruzen said, both knowing who he meant. This was not the reason he made you join. So that you could get lost in the lust of the kill. Like a machine, Kakashi stopped glancing at the Hokage, because of the choices of others. I need to be a machine, he said before jumping out of the window. Naruto was practicing a simple move that his Kasan had shown him. He had to balance a leaf on his hand. The walking in water had been practiced at a nearby pond, and that had led to him having to take another couple of baths, but even through all of it, his Kasan had been there to cheer him on. She seemed very muted in her cheers that always spurred him on as she smiled at him even as he didn't make any headway. He knew he had to get there to make his Kasan proud, to make sure that she was safe. At first, he had been confused about the clone till it told him repeatedly in a lot of ways that it was his Kasan, just a part of her she left to look after him while taking care of stuff. He asked her if she can teach it to him, but she said it takes a lot of power and it could be bad if you do it too much. He knew she did it a lot. When he looked down, she had sighed before telling him that if he was able to do all the tests, she would teach him how to do it. That had been amazing to hear for him as he jumped into her arms cheering happily. Back in Konoha, in the depths of a hideout, Kakashi stood before Danzo in his base. He never let his guard around the man ready to kill him if he so much as made a move for him. He knew Danzo found some entertainment in the way he always had him on edge. Kakashi, it is good to see you. What was the reason for your meeting with the Hokage? Straight to the point, he didn't mind that he was asking me to leave the Anbu again. Danzo laughed loudly, a laugh that echoed alone in his base even as others stood guard, that hold full still trying. No matter, there's someone I would like you to meet and he is to be part of your team. Kakashi heard footsteps coming from behind him till they stood at his side, and as he turned, Danzo introduced him. I would like to introduce you to Ichi Akaya.